is Elaine, and I'm currently 20 years old. I'm from Hangzhou, China, and I am currently a sophomore studying at Duke University in Durham, North Carolina. And I'm studying public policy as well as mathematics, and I'm really excited to be here. So I think that has two parts. The first part is more on an individual level, and the second part is more on a community level, that is to make my voice heard. So for the first part, I feel like at the individual level, the thing I can do is to educate myself with the data governance and as well as the digital future for ourselves, because I think a lot of times that when we are using technology or when we are using all those social medias, we don't really know what's really behind those technologies. So I think the first important part is to raise my self-awareness on these issues and educate myself using all the resources I have. And I think the second part is to, after I equip myself with the knowledges and educations, and the second part will be for me to bring those knowledges that I have and the thoughts I have into a community-wide discussions and to make my voice heard by the policymakers. And I think in order to connect myself with the decision makers and policymakers, I can engage in different events that hold by organizations to connect the youth and the policymakers, as well as to use the power of technology, use the power of internet to share my voices and to let them be heard. A big recommendation for me is to for policymakers to try to create as much cross-border cooperation as possible, because I think one thing that is very unique to technology is that the internet is global. That means that it is shared by every world. But nowadays, different world or different countries, they all have different framework in regulating internet based on each country's different situations. So I feel it's important for the policymakers from around different countries to get together and to find a common ground that can be shared to create a digital future and a regulatory framework that can be helpful to all countries. I know it might be really hard because, as I mentioned, different countries, they all have their own different scenarios, but I think it's important to try to find commonalities between different countries and to build a good future together. So because I'm double major in math and I'm also taking some stats class, so the technology skills that I'm learning at schools, including coding languages such as Python, as well as data analysis skills such as using R to make data visualization and data analysis. And I feel I would definitely love to learn more about those skills because they provide me with a good background on the essence of the technology and the logic behind them, how those technologies work and how those technology were created to help people. And another thing that I found really useful that when I was taking those classes is that in some of my classes, the professors will talk about the ethics concerns behind, for example, behind a data visualization that we just did, or when we are doing data analysis work. So I feel learning about those ethics concerns were also super helpful for me because it makes me to think about what things I need to consider when I'm using data from different places, and what things I need to take care of and to make sure I'm not invading, for example, the sample's privacy, and to not have negative impact when using these data. In terms of the technology that I want to invent to help improve my education experience, is that I would love to have a program that could kind of personalize the learning style based on each different student's style, because And when I was like talking to my friends, I realized that all of us have like different learning preference. So for example, I am like very much a visual learner. Like I learn by like looking at the screen and like seeing things. But some of my friends, they are like they learn better when they are like hearing stuff, and some people learn better when they're in like certain places. So I feel like it will be really helpful if there can be a program that can kind of like personalize the way like the content presented to students based on like what are the best ways for them to learn. The Data's initiative is doing like data academy that provides like online courses for people to learn more about data governance and the implications behind data governance. So I think that definitely helps the SDG of education because it promotes people's awareness on the issues as well as like talk about many like key concepts that are emerging in the discussions in data governance nowadays. And also, I know that the Digital Impact Alliance is doing a project that is trying to unlock data safely for climate action. So that is also an initiative that is trying to use data to solve, to like better address the climate crisis that we are having now. So I think those are all like initiatives that are using data to help like with SDGs. Is when we are playing our phone every day, think about what's behind the phone and think about like every action that we do with our social media. It might have consequence, so just be careful when using social media. And the second sentence is, if you have something to say, don't be afraid to say it out loud.